We're fearlessly talking about the biggest stories that matter to you the most. Breaking news, John Calipari is finalizing a 5-year deal to become the Arkansas Razorbacks' next head coach, covering college sports like no one else. The biggest guests in sports. We now welcome in Hall of Famer Jim Calhoun.
Such a pride I had, I came to Connecticut.
The legend, Tim Tebow, joins us.
We'll run it back. I like it.
The legend, Herschel Walker. Welcome in, everybody. Wednesday night edition, Air Torres Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Air Torres. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having a great day. We made a promise to you people about a month ago. We said as the tournament started, here's the deal. There's a lot of college basketball media that the second the season ends, they want to go off and do whatever it is that you do in a college basketball offseason. Much like Bill Belichick, we take no days off, no time with the family. Landed yesterday, went to the dog park. Now it's back to work, okay? And by the way, I did bring my dog to the dog park in case there was confusion there. Point being, family, they're cool. They said, Torres, get your butt back to work. It's time. And so today we got a busy show. First off-season show will not be the last we will talk. Torres is way too early top 25, which has already changed since since I posted it on Monday night after the national championship game. From there, we will talk a little bit about the portal news of the last couple days. Feels like Arkansas, Kentucky, BYU, North Carolina, all could be on commit watch right now, so we will discuss all that. Then we'll get to some other news and notes. JT Toppin, Big 12 Player of the Year. Yeah, he's back. Arizona lands a 5-star, and I was told Tommy Lloyd couldn't recruit. Crazy world, busy offseason show. The offseason is heating up, and we are so fired up to be with you until rosters get set here over the next couple weeks. Before we get started, a couple quick reminders. One, make sure you're subscribed to the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. New clips, new videos going up every single day. And when I say every day, I mean every day. We don't take days off on this show, as I said, at least not anytime soon. So subscribe on YouTube. We're at 54,000 subscribers. We are so grateful for everybody who joins us there. I've said it before. I said it on the Monday night show. Just insanely grateful for the audience that we have built and everything that you guys continue to do for us. Also, should mention, podcast is also available everywhere you get audio podcasts as well. So Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Music, wherever you get podcasts, make sure you're subscribed. Before we get started, I do want to, as always, welcome back our friends. I do want to welcome back our partners. I want to welcome back Collie Puffs and ColliePuffs.com. Okay, so it's that time of year. March Madness is over, but you know what that means. It's almost beach season, and you need to lose weight, you little slob. Yeah, I said it. Don't worry. I was in San Antonio. I put on plenty myself. Torres needs to lose weight. You need to lose weight. You need a snack that is healthy, but also delicious as well. You need Collie Puffs. I've told you the story. Family-owned company. Started not far from where I live. Joey, a huge sports fan, was sitting on the couch one day. He said, listen, I need a snack now, but I need something that is both healthy but delicious. I need something I'm going to like, my kids are going to like. That's where he came up with Collie Puffs. Baked, not fried, avocado oil, no grease, healthy ingredients. Best part is they taste delicious. This is the alternative to the crap in your grocery aisle. You don't need the Doritos. You don't need the Fritos. You need freaking Collie Puffs, okay? For more information, do me a favor. Go ahead and visit ColliePuffs.com. That's CAULIPUFFS.com, ColliePuffs.com. You can also get them on Amazon.com. So you got a cart going, you got a cart open, you're looking for a snack for the summer, throw some Collie Puffs in that cart, try them, trust me, you'll like them, tell them Torres sent you. Thank you to Collie Puffs. With that said, it's a Wednesday in April. College basketball season ended less than 48 hours ago, but we do not slow down. There is no more time to waste. People, let's get to the topic of the day. Topic of the day, listen, we're going to get to all the odds and ends over the last couple days, but to me, topic of the day is when the season ends, it's always time to do what everybody loves, and that's drop a way too early top 25, okay? Now, what I will tell you is that things are always subject to change. I actually dropped my first version of my top 25 on Monday night after the title game. I could tell you since then there is already movement. There is a new team in the top 20, in the top 10, that we'll get into in a minute. But what I would say is this is always subject to change. We are recording here on Wednesday, April 9th at about 6 p.m. Eastern time. By 7 p.m., we could have teams falling and rising faster than you know what to do with. So it's always subject to change. If you don't hear your favorite team in here, don't get mad at me. Tell your coach to get to work. This ain't on Torres. This is on him. But with that said, let's get to my first version of my top 25. Again, I posted one at AaronTorresOnline.com, but we have already made some changes. But here is Torres's way too early top 25 for 2025, 2026, always subject to change. We'll update this periodically through the spring, but let's go ahead and get into my top 25. We'll really do about the top 10 or so and then kind of be quick on everybody else. Number one in the way too early top 25. So I'll be honest, this actually has changed since Monday night. Going into the night, I had Houston as the number one team in my way too early top 25. At the time, it felt a little bit ridiculous. They just lose that heartbreaker. You can't put them at number one going into next year. But with hindsight, with a day, and with a commitment in the portal, I have Houston as my number one team right now on April 9th going into 2025, 2026, always subject to change. First of all, to me, the important thing is, yes, Houston is going to lose guys like everybody is. LJ Cryer is gone. Jawan Roberts, program stalwart, is gone. But I saw Evan Miyakawa put out a tweet on Tuesday afternoon where he basically said, look, every champion of the portal era returned over 50% of their production from the previous year, and it looks like Houston may track to do the same. 4 of their top 6 players off Monday night's title runner-up are back next season. Emmanuel Sharp, who we know had a very tough Monday night. We're not here to relive Monday night. We've already talked about that plenty. He is set to come back. He was the second leading scorer on that team, and frankly, he is a really good player, and you feel awful with the way his season ended, but it doesn't change the fact that that dude is a stud. 13 points per game, 41% three-point shooting. Milos Uzan. Now, he's the guy probably, if anybody is going to potentially go to the NBA off of this team, it's him. Starting point guard. He is projected to be back. We will monitor that. JoJo Tugler. Remember, he was the one guarding the out of bounds that Duke couldn't get the ball in on Saturday night. He also had that big putback dunk. He is projected to be back. And Terrence Arsenault, who I believe one day will be an NBA player, is projected to be back as well. So Houston is number one. Also worth noting, 3 top 25 prospects. It's interesting. I was talking to somebody at the NCAA tournament at the Final Four who covers recruiting in the Texas area. It'll be interesting to see how Kelvin Sampson reacts to and handles coaching 5-star talent. Chris Sinak Jr., top 10 prospect. We talked about him a ton. Arkansas wanted him. LSU wanted him. Houston is the one who gets him. Isaiah Harwell, interesting player, was kind of a top 3, top 5 kid, has had some injuries, but really talented. He comes in. Kingston Fleming's a 5-star from the Houston area as well. So I bring it up because Houston right now is my way too early top 25. It's early. It's subject to change. We'll see what happens in the portal. We'll see what happens with, oh, by the way, added Pop Isaacs from Creighton. Started his career at Texas Tech. Now went to Creighton last year, now at UH. So Houston right now is number one. Number 2 in my way too early top 25. Oh, it is the team that everybody says Torres hates, but going into 2026, I love them. It is the Purdue Boilermakers, okay? So Purdue, listen, I'll say this about Purdue is that, in my opinion, first of all, I don't hate Purdue. Let's get that out of the way. There was some issue with me and Purdue fans about my coverage of Zach Edey, but that's okay. It's no big deal. And I just bring it up to say Purdue is going to return a ton of talent. First of all, let's remember this. Purdue this year they easily could have beaten Houston in the Sweet 16 and been playing to go to a second straight Final Four. So let's give them credit where it's due. But I think the big thing to know, they did lose a couple kind of rotational pieces to the portal. The best point guard in college basketball is Brayden Smith. I know there's some weird rumors that he's going to enter the portal. I just don't see it. And if I'm wrong, believe me, we will have plenty of content on that. But this is a guy, Brayden Smith, 16 points per game, 9 assists per game, 39% three-point shooting. He was the best point guard in college basketball this year. Trey Kaufman-Renn stepped in very nicely for Zach Edey at the center spot. Also worth noting, Daniel Jacobson, 7'2", 7'3", was supposed to be Zach Edey's replacement. He was actually out this year. CJ Cox was a nice player for them. Like I said, Miles Colvin, Cam Heide, a few others have entered the portal. But the core is there. When you're talking about arguably the best point guard in college basketball, when you're talking about also on top of it, Trey Kaufman-Renn, one of the better big men in college basketball, Purdue to me is the number 2 team in the country. Let's get to number 3 in Torres' way too early top 25. It's a Duke Blue Devils. Know how it ended for Duke. Now, I guess if you're a Duke fan, I guess you get a little pleasure out of seeing Houston meltdown, maybe worse than you did on Monday night. But I just bring it up because I know it's easy to, Duke and John Shire and this. No. They're going to be really good again next year. Think it'll be interesting. First of all, we know the freshman class is going to be good. Cam Boozer, listen, I think it's impossible to ask anybody to be as good as Cooper Flagg, but Cam Boozer has first-team All-American potential. It's been talked about and re-talked about. Guy wins everywhere he goes, okay? And by the way, Caden Boozer, his brother as well. I don't want to dismiss the both Boozer twins, but 4 state high school championships, couple Team USA gold medals in the youth age groups, 3 straight Peach Jam championships. All those guys do is win. But I think it'll be equally interesting. A couple of those veterans at Duke could return. Tyrese Proctor could be back for a 4th year. Caleb Foster could be back. Malik Brown, who was an elite defender kind of in the post and the wing, probably will be back. So you have a couple superstar freshmen. Should mention a couple more. Shelton Henderson. They got 4 or 5 freshmen coming in. But on top of it, they have several of those key return veteran guys. And then I think what'll be interesting, Shire did an unbelievable job in the portal finding guys that fit last year. Sion James, Mason Gillis, a couple others. Just curious the work that they do in the portal. I don't think they need to get the biggest names. I just think they need to go get the guys that fit. Cam Boozer is going to be a potential All-American. Can you find guys that fit around him like you did this year with Cooper Flagg? I have Duke at number 3. Let's get to number 4 in Torres' way too early top 25. I told you on Monday night, if you read the article, San Antonio was tough, and I woke up on Saturday not feeling very well. I think I came down with a little bit of a case of Yaxel fever, baby. That's right. Yaxel Lendenberg on Saturday morning commits to Michigan. Listen, I'll tell you this. I said at the time, he's the best player in the portal. Jaden Quaintance is number 2. We'll be talking about him momentarily. Yaxel's amazing, okay? And that's a lot of the reason that I have Michigan in my top 5 right now. I think Yaxel, under Dusty May, could legitimately be a first-team All-American, could legitimately be Big Ten Player of the Year. And I say that when I say Braden Smith was just the best point guard in college basketball. So you look at Yaxel Lendenberg, okay? I think he's the do-it-all guy. Now, he, of course, is in the NBA draft. If he decides to leave college basketball, we will obviously completely reevaluate. But right now, they have Yaxel. Listen, Elliot Cadeau, to me, I understand that it didn't go as planned. Whenever you bring in a 5-star top 10 prospect, you expect bigger things. I think we just have to accept that he is a really good college point guard, even if maybe he's not an elite college point guard or a great NBA prospect. 11 points, 6 assists. You know, the 3-point shooting was better. And I just trust Dusty May inherently to figure it out with him. They do have more pieces to add. Trey McKinney, by the way, McDonald's All-American, but they do have more pieces to add. I will be curious, do they get Yaxel Lendenberg to return to college? That's obviously the big situation for them. If they don't get Yaxel back, I think we completely reevaluate where they're at. By the way, I don't know if it was Tipton. I forget who it was. Somebody put in a crystal ball that they'll land a Dai Mara from UCLA. They land a Dai Mara from UCLA. We might have to be talking about moving them up further than number 4. Again, they need a little bit more shooting. We'll see if they add a front court piece. And the big picture thing to me, they need Yaxel Lendenberg to come back, but he is that good. That is why I have Michigan at number 4 in my preseason top 25. Let's keep it going. Number 5 in the preseason top 25. I do have the Alabama Crimson Tide. Again, part of it is retention. Over the weekend, Alabama announced that 4 key players. Now, none of them are superstars. You're losing Mark Sears. You're losing Cliff Omoyori. You're losing Grant Nelson. But they're returning 4 key pieces off last year's team. I thought Aiden Holloway really played himself into a very good college basketball player this year. I think he has a chance to be really special next year, step out of the shadow of Mark Sears. You also bring back Houston Millette, shooter, was injured this year. Latrell Reitzel, shooter, who was injured this year. So better shooting next year. And then the big one, Aiden Sherrill, the big 7-footer, former McDonald's All-American. He was kind of a backup this year. Always thought it was interesting. Nate Oates always made it a point in press conferences, if he didn't play him a ton, to say, oh man, I should have played Aiden Sherrill more. What was I thinking? What was I doing? Shame on me. Basically insinuating he's a very important piece to what we do. Don't know that Alabama has a superstar, but I will say, like those pieces back. Also on top of it, I do like the portal additions early Noah Williamson, versatile big. I think he'll be very good for them. Jaleel Bethea, remember, was a top 5 recruit in the class of 2024, went to Miami. It doesn't work out. He has since committed to Alabama. I think he could be like, first team all SEC kind of player if it clicks for him at Alabama. So we'll see. Listen, I think they're one. The thing about Bama, I think their roster's sort of largely set for this year. I don't know that they have a superstar right now. I don't know if they plan on adding a superstar. Should mention Jaron Stevenson did enter the portal earlier in the day on Wednesday, so we will discuss his future next. But really like the pieces that Nate Oates has, really like the continuity. Again, I think we're underrating how important it is to bring back players. Just ask the Florida Gators, who really only added one key piece last offseason in Elijah Martin. I have Alabama at number 5. Number 6, moment of truth. Get ready, Big Blue Nation. Here we are. I have the Kentucky Wildcats at number 6. And listen, I had them about 14 on Monday night. And so to me, listen, I thought on Monday, first of all, I'll say this. Number 6, part of it is we're assuming Otega Owe returns to college basketball. If he goes pro, and again, always subject to change. Right now, I think the projections really do have him coming back. He needs to come back for them to stay where they are right now. But to me, I really felt like they were really a star piece away from being really interesting at Kentucky. Well, they had Jaden Quaintance, okay? And we spent a bunch of time talking Jaden Quaintance on Tuesday. I got home, told you, went to the dog park and came back and talked Jaden Quaintance, okay? That was my Tuesday after the Final Four. Dog park, Jaden Quaintance. But he's that dude. Now, we know he's coming off the knee injury. We talked about it. I've been told he's already ahead of schedule, got the surgery about 3.5 weeks ago, and that right now the projection is he'll be back on the court by August and hopefully ramping up for the start of the season. You don't need him to be great day one. You hope that by February into March, he is the superstar that we know that he can be. I think more importantly to me, what I love about what Mark Pope has done, I think he's gotten more athletic. Listen, Kentucky fans, this is not a knock. But by the end of last year, when Lamont Butler was hurt, when Jackson Robinson was out, I just felt like you didn't have enough dog in you, and it's not a knock. It's just a reality. As you went out on the court and you saw how much bigger and more physical and more athletic Alabama was in the SEC tournament, how much bigger, more athletic, physical Tennessee was. I just thought you needed some dudes. And so you add Mo Diabate, dog, just a dog. He's just going to get after it. He's going to play hard for 28, 30 minutes, whatever Mark Pope plays him. Then you add Jaden Quaintance. You add Jalan Lowe earlier this week. I thought that Mark Pope, and I think it's strategic and I think it's smart, he's sacrificing a little bit of skill for athleticism and toughness. Listen, skill is great, but some of the guys, and we don't have to relitigate last year and make people feel bad about how the season ended, but there were some guys that, were good on certain nights, but you just couldn't rely on a night in, night out basis. I think this team is going to be tougher, more athletic, and I think they still have a piece to add. We're going to get to the portal stuff in a minute. By the way, we could have breaking portal news at any point, but I do have Kentucky at number 6. I actually really like what Mark Pope is doing. Get more athletic, get a little tougher, and I really like where they're at. Number 7 in the way too early top 25, another team that we'll be talking about throughout this show, the Arizona Wildcats. Okay, so Arizona, I had it number 4 on Monday night. I think even Arizona fans were like, Torres, that's a little bit aggressive. Couple things with Arizona. One, Jaden Bradley, their starting point guard, I do expect to return. Koa Pete, the 5-star McDonald's All-American, committed late 2 weeks ago on Pat McAfee. And then on Tuesday, they added Brayden Burries. We're going to dive into Brayden Burries deeper later in the show. But guy that can play on the ball, can play off the ball. I think he is going to be a perfect fit alongside Caleb Love. Caleb Love's gone. But I think he's going to be a perfect fit alongside Jaden Bradley. Big guards, athletic guards, can finish at the rim. Brayden Burries is a very good shooter. I think Koa adds toughness. Speaking of toughness, you have Toby Awaka down low. And then, of course, you expect Krivas back at the 5 spot. You did lose Henry Visar. That kind of stinks. The big thing for Arizona, what happens with Carter Bryant? Right now, we all believe that he is going to be a top 20 pick if he enters the NBA draft, but a guy that Tommy Lloyd kind of brought along slowly. If he comes back to college, and there's a lot of speculation, a lot of buzz out of Arizona that he's actually leaning towards returning, that dude comes back. First of all, he could be like National Player of the Year type good. Like he could be first team All Big 12 National Player of the Year, but he kind of is that star that you need. I think second year, I've made the comparison a million times. I was at UConn when Rudy Gay was there. Rudy Gay had all the tools as a freshman, became a star as a sophomore, and then went on to an 18-year NBA career. That's who I see Carter Bryant being. You need him back. If you get him back, it certainly gets interesting. Number 7, way too early, top 25, Arizona's one-time Pac-12 rival, the UCLA Bruins. Listen, UCLA, big addition a few weeks ago with Donovan Dent. Listen, I don't know all the details on how it went down, but credit Mick Cronin, that big Mick energy, baby. He came up with the money that I didn't know he had to land Donovan Dent. He closes Donovan Dent. And we are talking about, I believe Donovan Dent, I said it all season at New Mexico. That dude could play anywhere in college basketball, and now he's headed to the Big Ten. You add him in with a team that now includes Tyler Bilodeau, your leading scorer, is back. You added Xavier Booker in the portal as well. Remember, that is a player that was at Michigan State, big, athletic, kind of that rim protector that you lost with Adai Mora. And so you look at that team, I think they become a very interesting team with Donovan Dent. UCLA at number 8 in my way too early top 25. Number 9 in my way too early top 25, the now no longer two-time defending champion UConn Huskies. Listen, first of all, I'll say this. I think there's a little bit of a new fire in the belly of Dan Hurley after not hoisting that trophy on Monday night in April, okay? First of all, I give him credit. I gave a shout out to Todd Golden on a successful first national championship. And Dan Hurley had some interesting comments really over the last couple weeks about basically the idea of, my off seasons have been pretty crazy the last few years, throwing out first pitches, ringing stock market bells, all that. And he's like, it's time to get back to work. I think for UConn, it's really been a best case scenario all off season. The guys you wanted back have all announced they're coming back. We had Solo Ball, second leading scorer, 41% 3-point shooter. I think he's an all Big East type guy. Terrace Reed, a guy that late in the season, the stats don't blow you away, but he transferred in a year ago, took him a while to get going. He had 24 and 18 against Providence late in the year. He'll be your starting center. You get back Jalen Stewart, and then most recently, Jaden Ross, kind of a wing player that, not super gifted offensively, but he's kind of a switchable defensive guy. And Dan Hurley has said publicly, like, I think this guy's the next one to make a jump. So you get the 4 guys back. You add 4 high-profile freshmen, 3 McDonald's All-American, 1 coming from Europe, headlined by Braylon Mullins. And then I think most importantly, you needed a big guard, lead guard. You get it in Silas DeMary Jr., of course, who played at Georgia. So maybe I'm underrating UConn a little bit because, again, I keep talking about retention, but I really like how this roster is coming together. Now, DeMary wasn't a guy that always had the ball in his hands, so it'll be interesting to see how he handles that transition. I still think UConn is trying to add a piece or two. Saw they were talking to Malachi Smith, who, of course, played at Dayton this year. They're probably going to add a little bit more scoring to that roster, bench scoring more than anything. But I think they got a really good team. I may be underrating them at number 9, but we'll see what happens. UConn at number 9. By the way, even in a down, I should mention, there's like real buzz that Alex Karaban is coming back. Alex Karaban, starter on the 2 national championship teams, came back this year, was playing well, got a concussion, was never really the same after that. There's buzz he's coming back. So we'll see what happens with that. I have UConn at number 9. That might be a little bit too high. Finally, rounding out my top 10 in the way too early top 25, those Louisville Cardinals. Another team maybe I'm a little low on. I thought putting me in the top 10 would be like, Torres loves the cards. Torres is Mr. Card, the card man. Then I saw a bunch of top 25s had him at like number 3, number 4, number 6, whatever. I really like this group from Pat Kelsey. First off, we've talked about the portal additions. We've talked about the fact that they have added Ryan Conwell, 15-point per game scorer from Xavier. We talked about the fact they added Adrian Woolley, guard from Kennesaw State, who Alabama desperately wanted. He is from Tuscaloosa, and he chose Louisville. And then on top of it, you also had Isaac McNeely, one of the best 3-point shooters in all of college basketball. That's on top of the fact that Mikal Brown Jr., top 10 prospect, 5-star McDonald's All-American point guard, is coming in. And then the good news is Javon Hadley you got back over the course of the last couple of days. So Javon Hadley was one of those JUCO kids. Shout out Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt quarterback that's getting all these JUCO kids the bonus year of eligibility. So Javon Hadley's coming back. Keyshawn Pryor, however you pronounce his name. I'm sorry if I tripped it up. Louisville fans, don't crush me. But Keyshawn Pryor, could get another year of eligibility. I think they're working on that. I really like this team. Listen, veteran, older, elite shooting. I think Louisville has a chance to be a breakout team. Really quickly, I'm just going to give you my next 5, because this stuff is so subject to change that it's just too much to try to project the whole 20. By the way, I had teams in the top 25 that right now couldn't even fill out a starting 5. That's how much roster building there is still to be done. But let's get to the next few teams. Number 11, Creighton. Creighton, big additions. Nobody was a bigger winner from Iowa firing Fran McCaffrey, no disrespect to Coach McCaffrey, than Creighton. They get 2 of Iowa's, basically the 2 best players at Iowa that still had eligibility. Josh Dix, an elite 3-point shooter. Owen Freeman, a big man. They both go to Creighton. I think Creighton still needs one more guard. Jackson McAndrew, by the way, was a breakout NCAA tournament star. So I'm here to tell you Creighton's going to be really good in the Big East. Number 12 in the top 2 early top 25, I have, who do I have here? Producer Matt, pop up the logo because I forget who I have at number 12. The old BYU Cougars. Torres a little Cougar crazy. I'll tell you this, BYU is on commit watch right now for a big name player. We will talk about him in a minute, but I am working under the assumption that Rob Wright, of course, is going to eventually transfer to BYU. We're going to discuss him in a minute. I'm also working under the assumption that Richie Saunders, the Tater Tot man, is coming back for another year of college basketball. You team him with AJ DeBonsa. That is a ferocious team. By the way, if BYU gets Rob Wright, they will move up. Right now, I don't have them projected with Rob Wright because it hasn't been announced yet. Maybe it will be at some point. Number 13 in the 2 early top 25, it is, you already know, the Arkansas Razorbacks. So first of all, with Arkansas, I think everybody at Arkansas is just waiting on pins and needles. Adu Thiero, Boogie Fland are both going pro. Now we're just waiting to see who's going to come back. I think right now, if I had to project, Carter Knox is back. Billy Richmond is back. Trevin Brazil is back. And of course, they have a 4-man recruiting class headlined by McDonald's All-Americans, Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. X factor for me, DJ Wagner. I think it's crazy that he might not be back. If I'm John Calipari, listen, I try not to criticize Cal because he has a bunch of success. If DJ's leaving because there's not room for him in the backcourt with the 2 5-star freshmen, you got to tell one of the 5-star freshmen you got to take a hike. I'm sorry, you just have to. But I bring it all up to say that they are still going to have a really good team. By the way, I think they're quietly making moves on Nate Ament. So there's a lot of work to be done. They are on commit watch for a commit in the portal as well, which we'll discuss here in just a moment. But I have Arkansas at number 13. We'll be quick here. Number 14, St. John's Red Storm. They have more moves to make. We know that they have Zuby Ejiofor. We know that Bryce Hopkins has committed from Providence. I think they're probably going to get Ian Jackson. I'm just going to say it. New York City kid from the New York tri-state area, obviously played at North Carolina, was up and down. It feels like that's where it's trending. I think he might even be taking a visit. I don't know if that's official yet. They would still need another guard, I think. But right now I have St. John's at number 14. That's another one that I could see moving up. Number 15, Iowa State. I in some ways I feel bad for Iowa State. They were kind of built for this year. They do lose Keyshawn Gilbert. They do lose Curtis Jones, but Taman Lipsey's back. Joshua Jefferson is back as well. I have Iowa State at number 15. Tell you what, we'll stop at 15 for now. You can go to AaronTorresOnline.com for the rest of the way too early top 25. Subject to, by the way, the top 25 I have posted is already outdated. Just take it with a grain of salt. I'll probably do version 2 on Thursday or Friday. But yeah, stuff's always subject to change in that way too early top 25. Check it out. Version 2 probably coming sometime later this week. Yeah, that's all I got on the top 25. So what we're going to do, take a quick break, come back. When we do, portal. A lot of teams are on commit watch right now. Is Kentucky going to get another commit? Is Arkansas going to get another commit? Is BYU going to get a commit? What about North Carolina? Take a quick break. It'll be the commit watch set episode of Portal Talk. Quick break. Be right back. All right, we're going to get back to the show in a minute. But before we do, many of you ask me all the time, Torres, what can I do to help support the show? You give me hours and hours and hours of content every single week. What can I do to help you? Well, I'll tell you what. Do me a quick favor. Check out the Aaron Torres Media merchandise store for all of your team-specific shirts, hats, and more, all available at AaronTorresOnline.com/merchandise. A lot of you wondering, Torres, what can I get in that merch store? Well, first of all, we got our brand new Hope and Pope Kentucky basketball t-shirts. That's right. Mark Pope has arrived. He is here to save the day. Get your Hope and Pope t-shirts there. Also, Arkansas fans, the Big Pig Invasion is here. You can get your tees there. Basketball School Alabama shirts. Mora Hurley 2024 UConn shirts for your tailgates at Rentschler Field, your games at the XL Center or Gamble. And oh, by the way, your Mike effing Woodson gear for Indiana. If you love football, we got you covered too. We got more Dion shirts and hats than we even know what to do with. The freeze warning has hit the plains. Auburn fans, grab your freeze warning tees now. And of course, our new era, new rules shirt applies to Nebraska football and its incredible fan base. We have more coming for the fall, plenty in stock right now. So make sure to check out the Aaron Torres Media merch store at aarontorresonline.com/merchandise. And you can always hit me up with any questions. Aaron Torres Podcast. All right, everybody. I'm back. Good to be back. Good to be back. So, first of all, I'll tell you this. Louisville fans, welcome to the chat, okay? Last offseason, the entire spring, it was Kentucky fans versus Arkansas fans. Arkansas fans, you got some work to do because right now it feels like those Louisville fans have taken up. Feels like we got Kentucky versus Louisville in the chat. I love it. I love the enthusiasm. This is why we do shows in the offseason. I love your guys' passion for college basketball. I appreciate you guys more than you know, and I hope that you appreciate me as well. With that said, we are doing our Wednesday night portal update, okay? Now, producer Matt, make sure you clip this part off with the segment, okay? It is 6:32 Eastern time when I am starting this segment. Stuff will change in a hurry. If this is outdated by the time that you see this, I don't want you to yell at me and say, Torres, that guy already committed. Why are you talking about him? Pay attention. It's 6:32. It's now 6:33. And we're going to talk about Portal Watch commit watch in the portal on Wednesday, always subject to change. So please be warned. Stuff is always subject to change in the portal. By the way, that's why you need to be following CBB Transfers on Twitter, CBB Transfers on Instagram for all your late-breaking portal news. It is now 6:34. Let's get into the news of the moment, which, again, is always subject to change. We are calling this the Commit Watch special because pretty much everybody is on Commit Watch. Let's start with the University of Kentucky. On Tuesday, you got a commitment from Jaden Quaintance. He is a dog. We talked about him. If you missed that segment, please go back and check it out. But the portal moves fast, and it is time to move on to who's next for the Wildcats. And right now, it's looking like a familiar name that I don't know that I thought was going to land at Kentucky may very well land at Kentucky. The name to keep an eye on at Kentucky, Lamar Wilkerson, shooting guard from, what is it, Ashdown, Arkansas, I believe is the name of the town. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just couldn't remember it off the top of my head. Averaged 20.5 points per game, 45% shooting from behind the three-point arc this year. He entered the portal, obviously, pretty early on in the portal. And I think there was a lot of buzz early with the home state Arkansas Razorbacks. I just bring it up because stuff changes in the portal quick. I think Arkansas has prioritized maybe some other guys. And the buzz late Tuesday was that Lamar Wilkerson will eventually be a Wildcat. We'll see if it ends up happening. By the way, credit my buddy Jack Pilgrim, who was all over this one. But I saw a lot of Lamar Wilkerson on Twitter late Tuesday night into Wednesday. As we're recording, nothing has happened. But I'll tell you this, if Kentucky gets him, I think that's essentially the last key piece. And he would give that three-point shooting that this team kind of lacks right now. We talked about them earlier. I love the pieces that have been put together, the toughness of Mo Diabate, the toughness of Jaden Quaintance, the toughness of Jalan Lowe, but you do need some shooting. By the way, I don't even know if I mentioned it in the way too early top 25. Jasper Johnson, Caden Lewis, Malachi Moreno. I don't want to forget the three freshmen, but I just bring it up because you do need a little bit more shooting. It feels like that is Mark Pope's final priority. We'll see what happens. We thought we were on the edge of it. Maybe it happens by the time you watch it. But Lamar Wilkerson, the first name to know in the portal on Commit Watch. Speaking of Commit Watch, this is one people are already talking about the BYU Cougars And by the way, yes, Torres is Cougar crazy. Everybody knows that. People were talking about the BYU Cougars as if Rob Wright has already committed to BYU, and he may have. But as we're recording, nothing is official yet, and we are waiting on word that Rob Wright, freshman point guard from Baylor, will officially end up a BYU Cougar. For people who didn't watch Baylor, listen, I'm not trying to diminish VJ Edgecombe or Jeremy Roach, but every time I watch him, I'm like, this Rob Wright guy is really good. And I heard late February, early March, there were some teams that were trying to get him in the portal. I don't even know if BYU was one. All I know is with Yegor Demon officially declaring for the draft, Rob Wright entered the portal on Monday. Yegor Demon announced he was going to the NBA draft on Tuesday. And by Tuesday night, it felt like it was just about done that Rob Wright is going to be a BYU Cougar. Always subject to change. Maybe he's committed by the time you listen to this. I'll stop saying that, I promise. But if this kid ends up at BYU, I mean, we are talking about just a dynamic playmaker to put alongside AJ DeBonsa. To me, and Richie Saunders too, obviously, and Kaba Keita. Can you imagine the Rob Wright to Kaba Keita dunks that we're going to get next year? This kid's, a little bit on the smaller side, 6'1", 6'2", 21 starts this season, 11 points per game as a freshman, and in the Big 12, led Baylor with 4.2 assists per game. Also pretty good three-point shooter at 35%. I'm just telling you, it's hard for me to imagine BYU not being a top 10 team if Rob Wright commits and Richie Saunders ends up coming back as well. Rob Wright on commit watch at BYU. How about Arkansas? Big Pig invasion. The big pigs are hiding right now. There's been no invasion to speak of this offseason. Just mentioned a minute ago, but Adu Theroux and Boogie Flan have both announced that they are officially declared for the draft. They will not be coming back to college. And I think even before Adu announced, you clearly needed bodies in the front court, right? You lost Jonas Adu to graduation. You lose Adu Theroux. And, of course, Big Z transferred to play with his brother Tomislav at Illinois. So of your four big guys, three of them are gone. Arkansas is going to be adding pieces over the next couple weeks. Hopefully they get some good news on returnees as well. But I only bring it up because it feels like Nick Pringle with Arkansas is on commit watch. For those of you who are not familiar with Nick Pringle's game, I really like him as a role player. And I'll give John Calipari credit. Not everybody has to be a superstar. Not everybody has to be a five-star. Sometimes you need guys to just do the dirty work. And you look at Nick Pringle, I think that's exactly who he is. He is a guy that started, how about this? 3 schools in 4 years, started at Wofford, goes to Alabama, went to South Carolina this past year, and was really just kind of a bulldog in the paint for South Carolina. 9.5 points per game, 6.5 assists per game. Kind of that low post, almost a Jonas Adu type. He's not super vertical. He's not the most athletic player. But again, if things go to plan, you are going to have stars in the backcourt, Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. You are going to have stars on the wing in Carter Knox and maybe Billy Richmond, always subject to change, as we keep saying. But you need those low post guys that are willing to do work in the paint. It feels like Nick Pringle is trending towards Arkansas. We'll see if we can get it done. By the way, Malik Ewan from Florida State, we thought he was on commit watch at Arkansas. It has not happened yet. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I just, with Arkansas, listen, the one thing I'll tell Arkansas fans, and I have said it many a time to Arkansas fans, listen, said it a million times. Love Coach Eric Musselman, who, of course, was at Arkansas, went to USC. This is not a shot at him at all. But Eric Musselman operated much differently in the portal and in the offseason than John Calipari. He'd contact a bunch of kids. He'd bring in a bunch of kids. He'd basically put the offer on the table and say, if you don't want it, we're moving on to the next guy. We don't got time to wait. John Calipari will wait as long as he needs for the right people. And so, you saw it last summer. I think Trevin Brazile. Trevin Brazile was the last big piece. He didn't commit till mid-June. I know that. I was on vacation when he committed. I was sitting by a pool in Cabo when he committed. Great trip. I need another trip to Cabo. Anyway, Cal's going to take his time. Cal's not going to rush. And this roster is going to come together at its own pace. But Nick Pringle, I believe, will come off the board. And I believe Arkansas is the X factor there. Last, really not a ton of big names that entered the portal over the course of the last couple of days. By the way, we already did Jaden Quaintance reaction. Ian Jackson, we did a segment on him. Ian Jackson leaves Carolina. Will a Chapel Hill native enter the portal on Wednesday? Jaren Stevenson. Listen, Jaren Stevenson, to me, first of all, the backstory on him, I think everybody remembers, but he was a 5-star in the class of 2024, decided to reclassify. It comes down to Alabama and North Carolina 3 summers ago now, if you include this upcoming summer. But summer 2023 announces he's going to reclassify. It comes down to Bama versus North Carolina. He chooses Bama. It was a big recruiting win for Nate Oates at the time. I thought he showed flashes. Remember, this was a kid that had a great Elite Eight game. They don't get to the Final Four without Jaren Stevenson. Had, I think, 16, 18 points in that Sweet 16, or Elite Eight, 2 years ago. Also kind of just felt like, in my opinion, he was the guy that kind of got lost in the shuffle this year at Alabama. They bring in Cliff Omiori. You got to play him at the 5. Grant Nelson's kind of at the 4. And then they went small with LeBaron Philon, Aiden Holloway, Mark Sears, etc. And so Jaren Stevenson was just the odd guy out. Only averaged 5 points per game. But to me, I think he is a guy that if you put him in the right system, you get him confidence. That's a dude that can average 15 in a power conference. That's a dude that can shoot 36, 37, 38% as a 6'10 dude. And that's a dude that can play in the NBA. So we entered the portal on whatever today is, Wednesday. The early speculation from myself and from others, I think he's a Tar Heel, baby. You know, he's from Chapel Hill. They need guys. They are clearly prioritizing size, athleticism, positional size after seeing what Duke did. I think he ultimately ends up a Tar Heel. I think it's a little early to say for sure. Once you enter the portal, you never know. Also worth noting, North Carolina is expected to have Cannon Catchings, the former BYU freshman, big name freshman, on campus this week. Those are kind of the same guy. So I don't know if Cannon Catchings wants to commit. I don't know what that means. I don't know if Jaren Stevenson commits, what that would mean for Cannon Catchings, but we will see what happens. Jaren Stevenson is officially in the portal as of Wednesday afternoon. By the way, I did see one name enter the portal. By the way, a couple things. One, and you know what? Texas Tech got a commitment. We're going to save it for next segment because I want to talk a little bit about JT Toppin. But also, I did see a name that I think is very interesting to me, and I didn't tell you this, producer Matt, so I apologize. Keyshawn Murphy, who played at Mississippi State this year. He was just that dude at Mississippi State. Mississippi State was really athletic. I thought, didn't shoot the ball well. Kind of remind me of almost like an old school Bob Huggins team. Crazy athletic, defend the rim, rebound well, play tough. They don't shoot the ball well. But Keyshawn Murphy, second leading scorer on that team, 11 points, 7.5 rebounds per game, 1.5 blocks per game. He just entered the portal. That's a dude nobody's talking about now. And that's a dude, let me put it this way. Nobody's talking about him right now. I could see that kid being like an X factor on a Final Four team next year. Like if he went to, I don't even want to put it out in the universe because I don't want anybody to think that I think somebody was tampering, but he could be on any team and could just have a 8-point, 11 rebound, 4 block game in an Elite Eight to go to a Final Four for somebody next year. So keep an eye on him. I think he is a very good player. 2 quick things. One, make sure you're following the CBB Transfers account on Twitter and Instagram, CBB Transfers on Twitter and Instagram, because at the end of the day, to me, I believe that the portal is not slowing down. Like I've said a few times, I think schools, there are too many schools that need too many spots filled. Remember, by the way, the portal now has 20% less players because there's no fifth-year seniors. That extra COVID year is gone. So all these schools need players, and there's not enough good players in the portal. So I think we're going to see more activity over these next couple of days. CBB Transfers on Twitter, CBB Transfers on Instagram. Make sure you're following. And that's your big portal coverage for now. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap with 2 other quick stories. JT Toppin, Big 12 Player of the Year. He's coming back, and he's coming back for a big old bag of oil money. I ain't complaining. It's the world we live in. Accept it. Get with it. And then we mentioned earlier, Arizona, they do land 5-star Brayden Burries. I think this one's pretty big. Quick break. We'll talk about those. Be right back. What's up, everybody? It's AT, and listen, long day of podcasting. Sometimes don't always look the best. So look at this. It's a little bit not great, okay? Well, here is the great news. The great people at Firebox said, Torres, you're a professional. You just got 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. You need to look better. And so they sent me a couple awesome things. I want to pull them out for you right now. This is all from the winter collection, by the way. Spring collection is coming out. We got the vest, very, very, very nice. The sweater, very professional for when I go to professional events. We got these nice blue jeans. I think the question now everybody's asking is, Torres, how do you actually look when you put that stuff on? Let's find out. Well, what do you think? Sweater fits perfectly. Great for all occasions. When I go to games, when I go out to a dinner, warm weather, cool weather, it's perfect. Speaking of perfect, these jeans are phenomenal. Great for games, great for social events. Oh, by the way, a little bit stretchy if those New Year's resolutions aren't going on as planned. Really quickly, we got to try out. Let's try out the vest. It fits perfectly. Not a surprise. So here's the deal. If you want to look as good as Torres, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go to fioboc.com. That's F-I-O-B-O-C. Fioboc.com. And here's the best part. For listeners to the Aaron Torres pod, you get 20% off with code Torres20 at checkout. We also put a referral link in all of our YouTube videos. Thank you to Fioboc. By the way, make sure you're following them on social media at F-I-O-B-O-C. Thank you to Fioboc. You want to look as good as Torres, check them out. Again, promo code Torres. All right, everybody. I'm back. Good to be back. Good to be back. Final segment of the show. So good to be back. Love the war in the chat. And I love how much you guys love off-season college basketball content. You know, right now, admittedly, we didn't go live on Monday night, so probably about, midnight Eastern, 12:30 Eastern, whatever. Crowd is a little bit bigger tonight than it was on Monday night. No disrespect to Florida and Houston. Great national championship game. But you guys love this stuff, and we're going to keep delivering on it as long as there is news. For people who are new to the channel, we've added literally tens of thousands of people since last offseason. We will talk as long as there's news. This stuff goes on into May, sometimes June. We're going to keep talking. We'll get to college football at some point, but there is just too much college hoops right now. And let's go ahead and wrap the show on two quick stories from the day. First off, first big story. It's that time of year where we're going to talk a ton of portal, but it's also stay or go decision time. Who's going into the draft? Who's returning to college basketball? These are the questions that everybody's asking right now. Well, I bring it up because I don't think it's hyperbole to say there might not be a bigger stay or go decision that becomes a stay in college basketball decision than the one that we got on Wednesday morning. That is because Big 12 Player of the Year, JT Toppin, announced he ain't even going to test the NBA draft waters. He is going to return to college basketball for his junior year. Big 12 Player of the Year. How about this? 18 points, 9 rebounds per game, not testing the draft waters, returning to college basketball. People, this is huge. This is a big deal. Let's go ahead and dive in. And oh, by the way, the dollar amount that has been potentially offered to him, we will get to as well. It's a whole lot of cash, baby. But JT Toppin, first of all, like I said, he's a superstar. I love this kid last year. He was at New Mexico, goes to Texas Tech, transfers. He actually tested the waters last year, ends up transferring to Texas Tech, and becomes just an absolute superstar. Lefty down low. It was really just a guy that I think, kind of just flew under the radar a little bit. I had him a little bit higher in the portal, hate to brag, than most people last year, but I didn't think Big 12 Player of the Year, okay? Like I said, 18 points per game, 9.5 boards, and really played some of his best games. The rare player, not rare, but, he got more confident as the season went on, got more confident when he realized he could play at this level. 30-14 against Colorado late in the season, 25-11, then goes to the Big 12 tournament, 26-10 against Baylor, 25-12 against Drake in the NCAA tournament. What I love about this is that he is coming back not only just as a guy, but he is coming back to a program that I believe in Grant McCasland inherently. I know it didn't work out to end the season. They were one of 9 teams, and I know it's not really 9, but they were one of several teams that had Florida on the ropes in the tournament. By the way, UConn fans feel the same way, Auburn fans feel the same way, and certainly Houston fans feel the same way. And you just couldn't close out Florida and Walter Clayton. But in that game, you saw that Texas Tech is a program that's here to stay, even if, unfortunately, for Texas Tech fans, they did not make the Final Four. Thing I respect about Grant McCasland, I think he's kind of that perfect blend of guy that, has the financial resources behind him, but also on top of it knows how to build a team and knows how to coach players that are making a lot of money. Texas Tech right now has as good of NIL as anybody in college basketball. They don't get mentioned with the Arkansas and the BYUs and whoever you think has the most money. I'm here to tell you, Texas Tech has as much NIL money as anybody in college basketball, but credit to Grant McCasland because he has proven an ability to put together great rosters and great teams. JT Toppin is obviously the biggest piece that is at Texas Tech. But listen, we saw on Monday or on Tuesday, I guess it would have been, that Christian Anderson is coming back. 10 points per game, 38% three-point shooting. And then, oh, by the way, on Wednesday afternoon, Tyree Brandon, I think is his name. I don't have his name, but from Santa Clara. Let me look it up really quick because it's going to bother me. And Texas Tech fans are going to watch this and yell at me. But let's see really quick here. My bad. Tyree Bryant, my bad. Sounds like a great country singer. You know what else he does? Shoot the crap out of the basketball, okay? 43% three-point shooting this year at Santa Clara and 10.5 points per game, okay? So they are putting together a big talented roster around JT Toppin. He is a good passer. So you have the Big 12 Player of the Year, and you're putting around a very good team. So I love that he's coming back. I love that he's coming back to Texas Tech because Grant McCasland is going to do an awesome job putting a team around him. Now, we do got to talk a little bit about NIL, okay? I want to make this abundantly clear. I do not care what anybody is getting paid. It is not my money. If a booster is willing to pay whatever, by the way, I love this house settlement thing coming. Oh, you're going to limit how much a kid can make in NIL. Yeah, good luck telling that to a Texas Tech booster or to John Tyson or to Mike Rapoli, the vitamin water guy that funds St. John's. I don't buy it. But I bring it up because JT Toppin, according to Matt Norlander, guess how much he's going to make this year? Per Matt Norlander, CBS Sports. How about this? $4 million. Or as producer Matt said, 4 million tortillas, baby. That's right. That's how much he's going to make. This is what is from Matt Norlander. JT Toppin expected to be paid $4 million in NIL earnings at Texas Tech, a source tells CBS. The latest piece of evidence that reflects how invested Texas Tech is in basketball and a positive development for the sport to retain a player as great as Toppin. Want to get to that second part in a moment. Producer Matt, you might as well pop his other tweet as well. Did I send you a second one? I forget. Okay, this is what Matt said. True NIL figures can be moving targets, but Toppin should rank among the 4 to 5 largest earners in CBB. Cooper Flag outpaced everyone thanks to a huge national image and commercial endorsements, while incoming Frosh AJ DeBonsa should comfortably cruise past $5 million. So let's dive into all that for a second. First of all, the 4 million to me vibes, okay? What I've been told is that basically, if you're Donovan Dent, I think could be an all-American type player, but you haven't totally proven it yet. Like Donovan Dent, we think the number on Donovan Dent is about 3 million. I bring it up because the 4 million number is for you're a surefire all-American, there's no doubt about it. Okay. And by the way, yes, we're talking about money with college athletes. If you're not comfortable with it, I get it. I don't even necessarily blame you, but this is where we are. Okay. And I bring it up because 4 million vibes with what I believe it takes to retain the type of player that JT Toppin is. Matt said it in that tweet, AJ DeBonsa. I think about 5 million sounds right for him. I've actually been told, there was all sorts of crazy numbers, 7 million, 9 million, whatever for DeBonsa. I think the number is about 4 to 4.5 from BYU. And then from there, AJ DeBonsa, we know he has a deal with Red Bull because he was wearing Red Bull gear when he committed on First Take. He has a Nike deal as well, one that's coming up. So AJ DeBonsa is going to make a lot of money this year. But I think JT Toppin can go to his boosters and say, or his collective and say, well, wait a second now. This freshman who is really good, but he hasn't done it like I've done it. If he's making 4 million, if he's making 5 million, I should be making 4 to 5 million because I can produce at the college level. I proved it. So that 4 million number tracks with me. Again, if you're a Texas Tech fan watching, expecting me to criticize, I don't care. The kid should be making money. I didn't always feel that way, but I tried to warn you that once we put in NIL, it was going to get crazy. It's here. Now this is just the world we live in. But what I will say, I think Norlander's point at the bottom of that first tweet is an important one. You might not like the money, but this is what it says at the bottom of his tweet. This is a positive development for the sport to retain a player as great as JT Toppin. I'm with Norlander on that one. is, listen, we all love college basketball. That's why literally thousands of you right now between Twitter and YouTube will either watch this now or watch it on replay. Thousands of you are watching a college basketball offseason show because you love college basketball. And so to me, NIL is here. It's not going away. I don't think it's slowing down even with this house settlement. And I have no problem with a kid making that much money. But also, this is the great part about this NIL era. A kid like JT Toppin might have just gone pro after his freshman year when he was really good at New Mexico. Maybe I can be a second-round pick. Maybe I can go to the G League, whatever. Now he doesn't have to rush. And now we get all these really good players back in college basketball. Think about these guys that could potentially come back. You know, Carter Knox at Arkansas, Yaxel Lendenberg, we expect to be at Michigan, Richie Saunders at BYU, RJ Lewis could come back to play college basketball. I don't think it'll be at St. John's. Solo Ball at UConn. I mean, these are big, big, big names, and they're coming back because of NIL. And so I love it. I think it plays into what we talked about a few days ago after the championship game, is that these players are now coming back, and I think it's for the good of the sport. The top of the sport of college basketball is better than it's ever been. We know the stat about the 4 teams that were at the Final Four are 4 of Ken Pomeroy's greatest teams since he started his database 25, 30 years ago. And so this is the latest example that the money is real and that good players that maybe aren't a top 5 pick, that aren't a Cooper Flag, that aren't a whoever, Yegor Demon, they can come back to college basketball and make a lot of money. Good for JT Toppin. He earned this money. He deserves this money, but more than anything, you know what's deserved? You as college basketball fans get to watch this guy for another year. And I think this is going to be a big theme of our coverage over the next few weeks. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that bring back a lot of players. By the way, Otega Owe, Kentucky, is a perfect example of a guy that could come back, that NIL doesn't have to force him out the door. I'm excited for this era of college basketball because I think these teams, as we saw this year, are going to be better than they've been. JT Toppin returning to Texas Tech. Let's go ahead and close with one more story, because there is one more piece of news that I think is worth discussing. High school recruiting is, for the most part, done. Nate Amen has not committed yet. As producer Matt, you had the joke of the Final Four. Producer Matt said Nate Amen might reclassify back to 2026 just to keep this recruitment going, try to get the NIL money up. But Nate Amen was one of 2 5-star McDonald's All-Americans that was still on the board entering Wednesday, but one of them did come off the board. That player is a young man by the name of Brayden Burries, 5-star guard from not far from where I'm from, San Bernardino, California. I think that's right. Is that San Bernardino? Or I think it is. My brain is so fried. I spent 6 days in San Antonio, whatever. But he's from SoCal. I know he went to Roosevelt High School, but on Wednesday, his college recruitment came to an end. He was down to a few schools. USC was kind of after him. Tennessee, I believe he has a sister or cousin that plays softball there. Alabama was on him for a minute, but he said, no. I am going to go to the University of Arizona, baby. That's right. Number 11 player in the class of 2025. Brayden Burries is an Arizona Wildcat. I'll say this. I love this commitment for Arizona. We talked about Arizona earlier. Be warned, this team is on the rise. This program is on the rise. Tommy Lloyd is cooking with gasoline right now, okay? So first of all, Brayden Burries, like I said, Roosevelt High School, as I said, I've seen him play. Like, I don't know why I can't remember the name, the town that his high school is in. But I bring it up because 6'5" guard, he is a kid that, to me, because, let me say this, because he wasn't one of the highest rated players in this class, San Bernardino, I was right the whole time. Shout out to Torres. So because this is what I think the deal was with Brayden Burries. Because he wasn't recruited by Kentucky, or not recruited, but because Kentucky wasn't in his final list, or Duke, or UConn, or whatever, I just don't think this kid got enough credit for just how good he was, because there weren't, outside of Arizona, these crazy fan bases that were following his minute-to-minute recruitment. But he's a 6'5" guard, plays on the ball, plays off the ball. He's a bigger kid. He kind of gets to the rim. He's physical. I really like his game. I think he's one of the more underrated players in his class. And again, because he's not being recruited by Duke, because he's not being recruited by Kentucky, because he's not putting out a top 5 and a top 10 and a top 12 every single week, we weren't talking about him as much, but he is a very talented player. And I'll say this, he is going to a very talented team potentially at Arizona. So we talked about Arizona. If you missed it earlier in the show, Arizona is in the top 10 of my way too early top 25. But you look at that Arizona team, I think this will probably be Tommy Lloyd's most talented team at Arizona since he's gotten there. You add Brayden Burries. I think Jaden Bradley is for sure coming back. I love Jaden Bradley as a college point guard. You know, he's a guy that he's probably actually a great example of what I was just talking about a minute ago. He was a McDonald's All-American. He starts at Alabama. I think in a different world, he would have just gone pro by now and tried to make it as a pro. He can now be a great 4-year college point guard, make a lot of money, and that is exactly what he is doing. The great college point guard part, I don't know about his financials, not my business, but Jaden Bradley to me is one of the most underrated players in college basketball. 12 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists per game. You put him in a backcourt with Brayden Burries, that is beastly, okay? On top of that, in the front court, Koa Pete, who we talked about a few weeks ago, he ends up committing. Koa is one of the best high school players in America, period, bar none. 6'9" forward, physical, bruiser, athletic, skilled, you name it. He's all of it. He can be skilled, but he can also play in the paint. He can be physical if he has to. His brother plays in the NFL. So Koa is going. Then Toby Owaka is coming back. And, of course, you have Krivas coming back as well. That is a really good team. Now, to me, with Arizona, the X factor is Carter Bryant. We talked about it earlier in the show. Carter Bryant, to me, is I think he is a potential national player of the year candidate if he were to come back. 6'9". I've made the comparison a million times, including once in this show. He reminds me of Rudy Gay when Rudy Gay was at UConn. And you could say, oh, Rudy Gay, what? Rudy Gay played in the NBA for 18 years. Rudy Gay was at UConn when I was at UConn, and he just retired this past fall, like 8 months ago, okay? But 6'8", 6'9", Carter Bryant is an elite athlete, an elite scorer, an elite shooter. You give him another offseason in college basketball to gain confidence and develop, that's a first-team All-American type player, okay? Now, what'll be interesting, he's projected by virtually everybody as a top 15 pick. I think if he goes into workouts, he will get drafted in the top 15 on potential alone. But you talk to the guys who cover Arizona on a day-to-day basis, Jason Shear, Mike Luke, my two BFFs in Arizona. I love both of them. They do unbelievable work. They both, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I think they feel relatively confident that Carter Bryant could return for another year of college basketball. And if Carter Bryant returns for another year of college basketball with Brayden Burries, with Koa Pete, with Toby Owaka, with Jaden Bradley, that is a top 5 team that can compete at the top of the Big 12 with Houston and whoever, BYU, whoever else loads up this summer. So what I love about this is if you add Carter Bryant, I think we're talking about a top 5 team, no doubt. And I'm so upset. I cannot wait to see what Carter Bryant does. I'm hoping he comes back to college, not because he shouldn't go pro if he doesn't want to, but just because I love watching him play at the college level. But at the same time, what I also love about the Burries situation with Koa Pete is that now these freshmen, that's a good thing. They're freshman complementary pieces that can be great, but there isn't pressure on them to be superstars immediately. And so they get to play with veterans. They get to play with really good players. And I think Arizona has a chance to be special. Lastly, let me say this. One of the things about being on the national level, and I'm so grateful to do what I do, you don't always know exactly what's going on in the discourse kind of on a national scale, right? You know what's going on a national scale, I should say. You don't always know what's going on locally. Sometimes a story falls through the cracks. I think there's been a little bit of a Tommy Lloyd pushback at Arizona this year, and I don't get it. I think Tommy Lloyd's a rock star in college basketball, okay? Producer Matt, this will be your 2-minute Arizona clip. I think Tommy Lloyd is a freaking rock star. But I think Arizona fans have felt like, is there a ceiling to what we do? Is there a ceiling to recruiting? Well, first of all, there's not a ceiling to what you can do. You pushed Houston as hard as anybody in the Big 12 all year. You had them on the ropes twice. You couldn't get over the hump. Houston was a defensive stop away from winning a national championship. So that's one. I was actually so impressed with Tommy Lloyd bringing Arizona into the Big 12. I thought it was going to be an adjustment coming from the soft Pac-12. They were as good as anybody not named Houston in that league, and they were good enough. On top of it, by the way, let's also mention this. Let's also mention the fact that they just happened to run into a better team in Duke in the Elite Eight. They played Duke tougher than, or in the Sweet 16, excuse me. They played Duke tougher than Alabama did. So this idea that Tommy Lloyd has somehow underachieved because he can't get past the Sweet 16, sometimes you run into a juggernaut like Duke, which was probably the best team in college basketball this year. Florida's national champs. If you're a Florida fan, don't get mad at me. I'm just saying Duke was most talented team. You pushed them to the wire. And so Tommy Lloyd to me is very good. And not only is he very good, but on top of being very good, there was also this narrative of, oh, can he recruit? Can he close the biggest names? Well, one, I think he's done a great job in the portal. Keyshawn Johnson was not a draftable player, goes to Arizona, is now with the Miami Heat. Pella Larson was a transfer drafted by the Miami Heat. You find other pieces in other spots, but I just bring it up because there's this notion that Tommy Lloyd can't recruit. Well, he just closed out 2 McDonald's All-Americans in the last 2 weeks. So credit to Tommy Lloyd, that staff, Jack Murphy, TJ Benson, all the guys that work so hard behind the scenes. Arizona, to me, they're coming. To quote Deion Sanders, we coming. If you're an Arizona fan, they're coming. It hasn't happened yet, but it doesn't mean that it won't. Tommy Lloyd and Arizona are going to have a monster team going into next year. The big question becomes, of course, what happens with Carter Bryant. Producer Matt, really quickly, any questions, or is it just everybody arguing in the chat? And if it is, and it looks like for those, so people can't see the private chat that producer Matt and I have. I was just told that it is an all-out war between Kentucky and Louisville fans in the chat today. So this is why I love our show, because we're the only show in America doing this. We got 300 people watching live right now. Everybody's arguing with everybody. And guess what? We ain't slowing down. We're going to go ahead and maybe do it again tomorrow. We'll see what happens. We're going to get out of here for tonight. If you're not subscribed to the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel, do me a quick favor. Make sure to do so. Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Music, wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure that you are subscribed. Also, make sure to rate and review the show. Go ahead, give us a quick 5 stars. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, all that good stuff. Make sure you're following on social media at Aaron_Torres on Twitter, at Aaron Torres Pod on Instagram, Aaron Torres Podcast Questions at gmail.com. Make sure you're following CBB Transfers on Twitter and Instagram as well. Maybe do a show Thursday night. We'll see. Listen, I keep thinking there's going to be no news, and then stuff gets freaking crazy every day. So we'll see about a Thursday night show, but this was the first offseason show, and we got Louisville fans and Kentucky fans going to war, and darn it, isn't that the best part of April? We're going to get out of here. Shout out to Torrent Craig. Shout out to Rachel, who hates my voice. Shout out to JJ Reddick, you F-head. Unblock me, bro. We will be back maybe Thursday night. New episode, Aaron Torres.